What's good, my little vessels of viscera? Your favorite narrator is back with another descent into the darkest recesses of the human psyche. Now, before we begin, let me just say, if you're one of those delicate little frosted flakes who gets triggered by things like graphic violence, cannibalism, and jokes about tragic historical events, well, you might want to sit this one out. But for those of you degenerates with a penchant for all things profane and disturbing, grab a bucket, because it's about to get messy up in here, like Hereditary meets the Human Centipede messy. Our ill-fated protagonist this time around, let's call her Karen, was your typical suburban soccer mum. You know the type. Lived for brunch mimosas and berating service workers. The kind of gal who'd happily call the cops on a bunch of kids having a lemonade stand without a permit. Anyway, one fateful day, Karen decided to treat herself to a rejuvenating spa getaway, full body wraps and all. Little did she know, this particular spa had some rather unconventional treatments on the menu. Let's just say that when the brochure advertised a life-changing experience, they weren't kidding. Because the next thing Karen knew, she was waking up in a dimly lit chamber, her body completely encased in a strange, fleshy cocoon. Now, at this point, any sane person would be absolutely bricking it, but not our Karen. No, she just had to open her mouth and start Karening all over the place, demanding to see the manager and threatening to leave a scathing Yelp review. Big mistake, Care Bear, because that's when the spa attendants entered the room. And let me tell you, these weren't your typical pimply-faced masseuses. We're talking towering monstrosities with razor-sharp talons and mouths filled with rows of serrated fangs. Karen screamed like a banshee as they approached, her pleas for a refund quickly devolving into shrill shrieks of unadulterated terror. At this point, you're probably thinking, narrator, please tell me they didn't, you know. And to that I say, what kind of sick freaks do you think we are here? Of course they did. Oops, my bad. Didn't mean to get ahead of myself there. Long story short, Karen's life-changing experience involved being slowly devoured alive by these nightmarish creatures, piece by agonizing piece. And the real kicker? The whole macabre ritual was being live-streamed to a VIP audience of wealthy elite sickos who paid top dollar for premium seats. Talk about dinner and a show, am I right? And just to add a little tongue-in-cheek cherry on top of this already depraved Sunday, one of the VIP guests was none other than Gwyneth Paltrow herself, sipping a jade vagina eggnog and cackling with delight as Karen's still twitching appendages were served up on a silver platter. Oh man, even I'm starting to gross myself out here. Maybe I took this one a little too far. Although in my defense, have you seen some of Paltrow's Goop products? Talk about a carnival of horrors. Anyway, I'll spare you the gory details and let you use your imaginations to fill in the blanks. Just know that by the time it was all said and done, our girl Karen was well and truly delighted. Jeez, tough crowd. I'm here all week, folks. Be sure to tip your narrator. In all seriousness, though, I hope this little tale has sufficiently curdled your stomachs and made you question whether humanity was a mistake. If not, well, maybe you're the real monster here, so sleep tight, my demented darlings, and for the love of all that's unholy, steer clear of any rejuvenating spa packages. You've been warned. Our ill-fated protagonist this time is a guy we'll call Greg. Now, Greg was your typical disgruntled drone, dead-end job, crippling debt and a nasty drinking problem to numb the ennui of corporate existence. One night, after getting blitzed at another round of heartless downsizing at the company, Greg decided to take a little stroll to clear his inebriated head. Big mistake. Oops, sorry about that. Guess I spoke too soon on the nasty drinking problem thing. Where were we? Yes. Greg's drunken meanderings led him to an abandoned subway station on the outskirts of the city. Being the morbidly curious sort, he decided to do a little urban exploring, because what could possibly go wrong, right? Well, let's just say that what Greg encountered down in those forgotten tunnels would make the anthropomorphic sinkhole from last week's campfire story seem like a happy little Pixar flick. We're talking an eldritch horror so ancient and unspeakable that its mere existence would obliterate the sanity of anyone unlucky enough to lay eyes upon its grotesque, shape-shifting form. Yeesh, you get the picture. Let's just say that by the time Greg's fateful encounter was over, he was left a drooling, quivering husk of a man, if you could even call him a man anymore. More like a sentient jigsaw puzzle of flesh and bone without any of the connective tissues to hold it together. But wait, it gets better. You see, in its infinite eldritch wisdom, the ancient evil decided to keep what was left of Greg's consciousness intact. purely to torment him for all eternity with the knowledge of his unspeakable violation. So now poor old Greg exists in a perpetual state of agony, his fragmented mind screaming into the abyss as his mutilated body parts are strewn across multiple planes of reality. What's that? You want more details on the body horror? Well, why don't we take a little peek at the aftermath, shall we? On second thought, maybe we'll save that for the screenshots. Wouldn't want to ruin the surprise for anyone. So, in summary, man meets nightmare entity from beyond the cosmos. He's torn apart, physically and psychologically, for eternity. Just another heartwarming little tale from yours truly, and if that's not enough to leave you questioning the very fabric of reality, well, I don't know what else to tell you. Maybe ignorance really is bliss after all. Well, I think that's my cue to sign off before the interdimensional fractures start opening up. Thanks for joining me on this deranged descent into existential dread and total sensory violation, you beautiful sickos. Sweet nightmares, and don't forget, if a drunken subway excursion ever seems like a good idea, do the world a favor and hail a cab instead. You've been warned.